You're watching MUTV 99, Millersville University. And now, broadcasting from the McCullough Communications Complex Studio 1, your source for coverage as local as it gets. This is News 99.
Hello and welcome to News 99 Thursday. I'm Sean Gilgore.
And I'm Kate Fitzpatrick.
Coming up, Millersville University presents Only When I Dance, mosquitoes descend on York County, and the Supreme Court makes a ruling on Barack Obama's health care bill.
Also, Andrew Myers will have the latest in sports, and Matthew Moore will give us the 7-day forecast. But right now, let's see what's happening around campus. Sean?
Thanks, Kate. Millersville University Library is presenting a screening of Only When I Dance Friday, April 29th. The event will take place in Myers Auditorium in Macumsey Hall. The international film was directed by B.D. Finzi. The movie is a feel-good documentary that follows two teenagers from Rio de Janeiro. Irlan and Isabella want to become professional ballet dancers, and their hometown must band together to raise funds to support their ambitions. The event is free and open to the public. The movie begins at 7 p.m.
The Millersville University Music Department will be presenting Music of Many Horizons on Sunday, May 1st. The concert will feature the final performance of Wind Ensemble Director Dr. Daniel Hesslink. Hesslink has been an associate professor at the university since 1983. He will conduct the Wind Ensemble along with concert band director Dr. Keith Wiley. Tickets for the event can be purchased at the SMAC or by calling the ticket office at 717-872-3811. The price of admission is $10.
If any student has walked to class in the rain recently, you've noticed Millersville has a problem. Rain makes puddles appear everywhere on sidewalks, roads, and everything. And Jess Dowdrick is outside with more information. Jess, is there anything we can do to avoid the rain?
Thanks, Sean. Well, unfortunately, there's not much we can do to stay dry here at Millersville besides dressing for the weather. So for the last couple of days we have left in April and the few remaining days we have in the semester, put on your rain boots, your waterproof jackets, and take out your umbrellas when you're walking to and from campus. Millersville University is located on a low-lying area, so when it rains, excess water is drained onto our campus. As you can see behind me, this excess water causes large puddles to accumulate around campus. The puddle behind me is probably about 2 to 3 inches deep and has lasted quite a while. Our rain has stopped about 6 hours ago, but these puddles still remain around campus. This isn't the first year water has been an issue for Millersville University. In 2006, our Boyer parking lot flooded with over a foot of water. And again, last year in 2010, the same lot had to be evacuated due to flooding. Not only is our low-lying area a problem here at Millersville when it comes to rain, but so are the sinkholes. When excess water builds up on these areas, it causes holes in the sidewalks and the roads, making problems for everyone here on the university. That's all we have for you out here. Reporting for MUTV News, I'm Jess Dowdrick.
Thank you, Jess. And as always, Millersville advises that students should use their discretion when inclement weather shows up.
That's all for campus news, but stay tuned because local news is right after the break.
And thanks for staying with us, and here is your local news.
West Nile Virus Program Coordinator Thomas Smith says surveillance programs are off to an early start. He says his search has already detected a high mosquito population in the York County area. Countywide searches are performed over 3 weeks, multiple times throughout the summer. The most common source of high mosquito populations are from trash bags outside. Artificial containers are also a primary source that attracts mosquitoes. For information about West Nile virus infection, check out the Pennsylvania Department of Health's website online.
York City School District is cutting 70 staff positions due to budget shortfalls. The budget for next year will be reduced to $90 million from $120 million this year. Acting Superintendent Dr. Eric Holmes said the cuts would mean bigger classes. The district has already laid off 47 teachers, and Holmes also says 80 more jobs could be lost before the end of June. York City schools would start next year with one quarter fewer teachers if all proposed cuts are approved.
York County farmers are frustrated with the large amount of rainfall over the past 2 weeks. They say they cannot plant their crops of tomatoes, corn, and potatoes when the soil is too wet. Farmers with Robb Fruit Farm say they have pushed back the planting of their crops by 2 weeks. The delay might cause 4th of July corn to be scarce. The rain will also cause a greater demand for higher-cost imported produce. Jeff Holtzinger of Robb Fruit Farm said that there is simply no way to make up for the lost weeks of planting.
The wave of storms sweeping through Pennsylvania hit Dauphin County really hard. Most people in the county woke up to major property damage and flooding. Michael Snyder said he saw the storm hit at 4 a.m. He described the experience as scary for most people since they didn't know what exactly was going on. Officials are now worried about river levels. Residents of the area are used to flooding, but not at the levels seen after the storm. Dauphin County officials will begin the cleanup by fixing any damaged power lines to restore the electricity.
And that's the local news. Stay tuned for the state and national news right after the break.
You are watching MUTV, Millersville University.
Welcome back. Let's dive right into state and national news. State Senator Elder Vogel Jr. introduced a bill that would ban the sale of synthetic drugs. The substances in the bill range from salvia divinorum to synthetic cocaine and heroin. Vogel said he's heard from police across Pennsylvania that the drugs are dangerous. He believes the bill is a common-sense way to protect communities across the state. The chemicals in the drugs have been found to have potentially lethal consequences. If passed, the bill would treat synthetic drugs the same way as other Schedule I drugs.
The Federal Securities and Exchange Commission, or the SEC, has begun investigating Harrisburg's finances. The SEC has asked for documents from the city authority in an effort to understand the city's massive deficit. Both members of the authority and the city spokesman have had no comments on the request. Local sources believe the SEC wants the documents to see if local investors were warned of the financial downturn. Harrisburg is responsible for an over $300 million debt.
A new poll shows bipartisan support for a long-debated anti-discrimination bill. About 70% of Pennsylvanians would approve of its passage. The bill would legally outlaw discrimination based on gender orientation. State Representative Dan Frankel says the bill would make Pennsylvania more fair and just. He also added that increased gender-based protection would make Pennsylvania more economically competitive. 21 other states have already passed laws prohibiting gender discrimination.
And now in the national news, it's the most sought-after birth certificate in the country, and this morning it was released to the public. Where President Barack Obama was born has been political fodder for his critics, but as Andy Rose explains, the White House is hopeful today's developments will silence those critics for good.
Finishing up national news right after the break, and Andrew Myers will be giving us your Marauder Sports right after these messages. And we're back. Here's the rest of the national news. The Supreme Court has rejected a request for a ruling on President Obama's health care bill. Virginia Attorney General Ken Cuccinelli requested an early legal intervention from the court. The legal battle over the law is still being fought in federal courts. In extreme circumstances, the Supreme Court will rule on a case before this process has ended. Usually, the court will only do this during a time of war or during a constitutional crisis. Although Cuccinelli's request was denied, the case is expected to reach the Supreme Court in May of 2012.
A San Francisco group is opposing male circumcision, and they have taken their cause to the city's voters. Intact America has acquired the 12,000 signatures necessary to create an official ballot measure. The group claims the procedure is excruciatingly painful and is permanently damaging. Leading advocate Lois Schofield also said the surgery is forced on men when they are at their weakest and their most vulnerable points. The measure would impose a maximum penalty of $1,000 fine and a year in prison for performing a circumcision. No exceptions will be made for a religious belief. And actually, it's playoff season in both the NHL and the NBA, so there's a lot going on.
Probably a lot of fans biting their nails waiting to see who will win.
I know, and it feels like it goes on forever sometimes too, but Andrew Myers has more at the Sports Desk. Over to you, Andrew.
Hey, thank you, guys. Good evening, Millersville. And local campus sports tonight, the baseball team for their pitching staff has limited IUP to just 2 runs over 14 innings. And with Mike August's 6-for-6 performance at the plate, the 9th-ranked Marauders swept the Crimson Tide by a score of 13-1 and 3-1. August went 3 for 3 with 3 runs and 3 RBIs in Game 1 and followed that effort with 3 singles and 2 runs in the nightcap. He was the catalyst for an offense that produced 22 hits in the doubleheader. Well, after leading the Millersville men's team to a third-place finish at the PSAC Championship and a NCAA Atlantic Regional appearance, Sharby Bucker-Weber was named the PSAC Men's Tennis Coach of the Year Tuesday. Bucker-Weber, now in her 4th season, is the first woman to win Coach of the Year award in the men's side. Her Marauders posted a 13-6 overall record and a 3-2 lead record and reached the PSAC tournament for the 4th time in her tenure. And speaking of the men's tennis team, for the 2nd time in the last 3 years, the men's tennis team is headed to the NCAA tournament. On Tuesday, the Marauders were selected to play in the NCAA Atlantic Regional against top-seeded West Virginia Wiseland. Now over to the NHL, where the second-round playoff series has basically been decided. In the East, the second-seed Flyers will take on a rematch of last year against the Bruins. The top-seeded Capitals will take on number 5 Lightning. And in the West, the second-seeded Sharks will play the third-seeded Red Wings, and the top-seeded Canucks will take on the Predators. And finally, over to the NBA now, where 2 teams closed out their series last night, while another team avoided disaster. The Miami Heat defeated the Philadelphia 76ers 97-91. The Sixers hung tough throughout the whole game, but missed a late three-pointer to tie the game. The Thunder also won, defeating the Nuggets 197, behind Kevin Durant's 41 points. And the San Antonio Spurs, the 1 seed in the West, hit 2 late miracle shots to send their game into overtime, eventually defeating the Memphis Grizzlies 100-103. Well, that's all today for sports. Stay tuned. Your Marauders are playing a great series of games over the weekend, and I'm going to throw it back now to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Andrew. And after this, Matt Moore has your Marauder forecast for the weekend. Stay tuned.
You are watching MUTV, Millersville University.
And welcome back to News 99. And there's some pretty crazy weather out there, sounds like.
Absolutely. This morning, you might have missed it if you slept in today, but we had 3 tornado warnings this morning. Let's take a look outside. Your Skycam here, this is Beamsdorfer Stadium. And looking outside, the clouds are looking like they're clearing out pretty much. It's because we have a storm system that is departing. Millersville sitting at partly cloudy skies, temperature at 71 degrees, humidity at 75%, winds out of the west-southwest at 15 miles per hour. Notice that rain, 1.32 inches. That came in the span of about a couple hours, and that only exacerbates all of those flooding issues around the Millersville campus. Let's look at that radar here nationally. West of the Mississippi, not too much going on, but there is an upper-level low spinning up in the Great Lakes. That is leading for a cold front that's draped across all the way through the mid-Atlantic and southeast states, and that's what led to our thunderstorms that we had earlier this morning. This is that line of storms that we had this morning, clearing out right now in the Susquehanna Valley around Millersville. But these storms definitely brought some wild weather to us this morning. In fact, around 4 o'clock this morning, severe thunderstorms warning were lit up the sky pretty much with lightning, hail, and gusty winds. We had a tornado warning at 8:45 this morning. In fact, 3 different tornado warnings throughout the course of about an hour and a half. So it was definitely very wild weather this morning as you woke up, probably headed to class and maybe saw that MU alert this morning. Now, these are some pictures that I have had sent in to me today by DJ Hoffman. This is a wall cloud over by Wellness, and that's a rotating cloud, basically a lowering base. And typically, tornadoes do fall out of those wall clouds, but this one fortunately stayed without the tornado and just had the rotating nature. And this is the flooding around campus. This is Joseph Borowski sent me this picture. This is the flooding over at the pond, over the banks as well. Definitely some flooding issues going on there. And if we head to the Michael Chardnick picture, he sent me, this is an inflow boundary. This is what the thunderstorms feed off of. These clouds here basically suck into the storm and give the storm its power. So we definitely saw one of those classic supercell thunderstorms this morning as we were heading into the morning hours and into the afternoon as well. These are some storm reports from around the area. Notice down in Alabama, they had some devastating tornadoes going on into yesterday as well as last night. But going into our almanac today, 72 degrees, around normal for this time of the year for the high temperatures around this area. Millersville at 71 degrees as well. For your evening planner, 6 p.m., 68 degrees. By 9 p.m., 62. As we head into the midnight hours, 56 degrees. Again, tonight, mostly clear, breezy, and mild as well. Going into tomorrow morning, mostly sunny and cool. Temperatures around the mid-50s. Tomorrow afternoon, partly cloudy and seasonable temperatures, 60 to 66 degrees. As we head throughout the next 7 days, we're seeing some clouds. Actually, our precipitation is clearing out, which is good news for those farmers that are complaining about too much rain. And look at that weekend. It's going to be a fantastic weekend for you guys. And going into the finals week as well, it looks like nice weather.
Great to hear that.
I hope so. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So, well, for all of us here at MUTV News 99 Thursday, hope you guys have a great weekend. And I'm Sean Gilgore, and this is actually my last day here on MUTV News 99. It's been an awesome 4 years.
Absolutely.
I'm Kate Fitzpatrick.
I'm Matt Moore.
Thanks for watching.
We'll see you next time.